Some rifles used to be everywhere. Now they are getting harder to find, not because they failed, but because factories changed, companies moved, and designs were replaced. Slowly, the originals stopped being made. If you have one of these classic hunting rifles, you might own something that will never return in the same form. These are 15 rifles that are disappearing, and you should keep them at all costs. 1. Winchester Model 70, pre-1964. The Winchester Model 70 was introduced in 1936 and quickly earned the nickname the Rifleman's Rifle. The early rifles featured a controlled round feed system with a large claw extractor inspired by the Mauser 98. Parts were forged and machined from solid steel. In 1964, Winchester redesigned the rifle to reduce production costs. The extractor system changed, machining methods shifted, and many hunters felt the finish and quality were no longer the same. That redesign permanently divided the market into pre-64 and post-64 rifles. Collectors still search for rifles made before 1964 because they represent the original craftsmanship that built the rifle's reputation. Clean pre-1964. Examples continue to rise in value, and once they move into private collections, they rarely return to the open market. 2. Remington Model 700 early production. The Remington Model 700 debuted in 1962 and became one of the most successful bolt-action hunting rifles ever made. Its cylindrical receiver and twin-locking lug bolt made it strong and consistent. For decades, hunters trusted it in fields and mountains across North America. However, rifles produced before the company's financial struggles and ownership changes are often viewed differently than later models. Many shooters prefer early production rifles from the 1960s through early 2000s due to perceived consistency in machining and finish. As corporate transitions created uncertainty, interest in older rifles grew. Those early Model 700 rifles are no longer being produced in the same era of manufacturing, and their supply is permanently fixed. 3. Browning A bolt. Introduced in 1984, the Browning A bolt quickly gained attention for its smooth cycling and short 60-degree bolt lift, which allowed better scope clearance. It featured a detachable box magazine that fit neatly into the floor plate and offered reliable feeding. Hunters appreciated its balance and clean design. The 3-lug bolt design helped provide a strong lockup while keeping the lift short and easy to operate. The adjustable trigger and solid recoil pad made it comfortable for long days in the field. Many shooters also liked the top Tang safety because it was simple and easy to reach without shifting grip. Eventually, Browning replaced the A-bolt with the X-bolt series, ending production of the original line. Once that shift happened, many hunters who favored the A-bolt began searching the used market. Certain calibers, stainless versions, and special runs started disappearing faster than expected. Over time, specific configurations became harder to find in clean condition. As fewer well-kept examples remain available, demand continues to grow among those who remember how steady and dependable the rifle felt during real hunts. 4. Ruger No. 1. The Ruger No. 1 was introduced in 1967 and stood apart from most modern rifles because it is a single-shot falling block design. Without a magazine or bolt assembly extending behind the chamber, it maintains a compact and balanced profile. The falling block action is strong and simple. Ruger has produced the No. 1 in limited runs over the years, often releasing certain calibers only once. Because of this limited production pattern, collectors carefully track specific variations. The rifle encourages deliberate shooting and precision. As annual production has decreased and certain models never return, earlier examples become more valuable. The Ruger No. 1 represents a style of rifle that few companies still build in significant numbers. The design was inspired by classic British single-shot rifles, giving it a traditional appearance with modern steel strength. Its compact action allows a longer barrel length without increasing overall rifle length, which improves balance in the field. Many hunters appreciate the strong extractor system and the solid feel of the falling block locking into place. Over the decades, Ruger has chambered the #1 in standard hunting calibers as well as uncommon and large-bore cartridges, which adds to its collector appeal. Some limited editions were produced in small quantities, making them difficult to find today. Because it is a single-shot rifle, many hunters say it sharpens focus and discipline during a hunt. The #1 stands as a reminder of a time when simplicity and strength defined rifle design, and fewer manufacturers are willing to produce single-shot sporting rifles in meaningful numbers. 5. Savage Model 99. The Savage Model 99 first appeared in 1899 and changed lever action history by using a rotary magazine instead of a traditional tube. This design allowed hunters to use pointed bullets safely, increasing effective range. For decades, the Model 99 became a trusted deer rifle across North America. Production continued for nearly a century before ending in 1998. Once production stopped, supply became fixed. Clean examples began disappearing into collections. The Model 99 represents American innovation in lever action design, and its unique rotary magazine system sets it apart from most other lever rifles. Because it is no longer manufactured, every year makes original examples more difficult to replace. 6. Marlin 336 JM stamped. The Marlin 336 has been in production since 1948, but collectors focus heavily on rifles stamped with the JM mark, indicating manufacture at the North Haven, Connecticut plant before Remington acquired Marlin in 2007. After the acquisition, reports of quality control problems led many hunters to seek earlier rifles. The JM stamped versions are often viewed as the final examples of traditional Marlin craftsmanship before corporate restructuring changed production methods. As original North Haven rifles are no longer made, their numbers remain limited. Clean JM stamped rifles move quickly when offered for sale, especially in popular calibers like .30-30 Winchester. The JM stamp, found on the left side of the barrel near the receiver, became a quick way for buyers to identify rifles built before the factory transition. Many hunters believe the wood-to-metal fit, smooth lever action, and overall finish were more consistent during the North Haven era. The Marlin 336 uses a solid top receiver with side ejection, which made it easier to mount scopes compared to older top eject lever rifles. That practical design helped it remain popular for decades in deer woods across America. When production moved and early issues appeared, confidence shifted toward the older rifles. Over time, supply of clean North Haven builds tightened as more owners chose to hold on to them. Today, when a well-kept JM stamped 336 appears on the market, it often sells quickly because buyers know that specific factory era will never return. 7. Weatherby Mark V. German and Japanese production. The Weatherby Mark V was introduced in 1958 and became known for strength and magnum performance. Early production took place in West Germany by J.P. Sauer, before later shifting to Japan. The original German-made rifles are especially valued because of their machining quality and limited production numbers. The Mark V action, particularly in the 9-lug Magnum configuration, was designed to handle high-pressure cartridges safely. As production locations changed over time, collectors began separating rifles by era and origin. German and early Japanese examples now represent a specific manufacturing period that will not return. Once production shifts, the original factory chapter closes permanently. The early German rifles were produced with deep polished blue finishes and well-fitted walnut stocks that gave them a distinct look. Many collectors point to the precise bolt machining and smooth operation as key traits of the Sauer-built era. In the early 1970s, production moved to Japan under Howa, and those rifles also developed a strong reputation for quality and consistency. Even so, buyers often separate German and Japanese models when discussing value. Certain chamberings from the early years were produced in small numbers, which adds to their collector appeal. The Mark V also became closely tied to Weatherby's high-velocity Magnum cartridges, reinforcing its identity as a powerful hunting rifle. Because production no longer takes place in Germany and early examples are limited, those original rifles have become fixed in number and increasingly sought after by serious collectors. 8. Browning BAR Belgium. Made the Browning BAR sporting rifle debuted in 1967 and was initially manufactured in Belgium by FN. These early Belgian-made rifles are known for fine machining and polished finish. Later production moved to other facilities, creating distinct manufacturing eras. Many collectors specifically seek rifles marked as Belgian-made because they associate them with the original production quality. When a rifle changes country of manufacture, perception often changes as well. Belgian BAR rifles are no longer being produced in their original facility, making them a limited and shrinking category in the market. The early Belgian models were built with steel receivers and high-gloss walnut stocks that reflected the craftsmanship FN was known for at the time. The gas-operated system helped reduce recoil and allowed quick follow-up shots, which made the rifle popular for big game hunting. Hunters appreciated the balance between power and comfort, especially in calibers such as .30-06 and .308 Winchester. As production later shifted to Japan and then to Portugal for certain models, collectors began separating the rifles by origin. The Belgian marked examples represent the first chapter of the sporting BAR story. Because production in Belgium ended decades ago, no new rifles from that era will ever be made again. Each remaining example becomes part of a fixed supply, and clean rifles with original finish continue to attract steady interest from those who value early production quality. 9. Winchester Model, 94, Pre-64, and New Haven. The Winchester Model 94 was introduced in 1894 and became one of the most iconic lever-action hunting rifles ever made. As with the Model 70, pre-1964 rifles are particularly valued due to manufacturing changes that occurred in that year. Additionally, rifles produced in the New Haven, Connecticut plant before its closure in 2006 are highly sought after. When the New Haven factory closed, American production of the Model 94 ended. Although the rifle later returned under new ownership, collectors distinguish New Haven production from later builds. Factory closures create clear historical divisions, and once a plant shuts down, its output becomes part of history. The Model 94 became closely linked with the .30-30 Winchester cartridge, a combination that shaped generations of deer hunting in North America. Early rifles featured forged steel parts and traditional walnut stocks that reflected the manufacturing standards of their time. In 1964, cost-cutting changes affected internal components and finish, which caused many buyers to favor rifles made before that year. The New Haven plant continued production for decades after 1964, and rifles from that facility carry strong identity among collectors. When the plant officially closed in 2006, it marked the end of more than a century of continuous production in that location. That moment fixed the total number of New Haven-built Model 94 rifles forever. Clean examples with original finish and matching parts now hold added appeal because they represent both an iconic design and a completed factory chapter that will never reopen. 10. Remington Model 760. Game Master introduced in 1952, the Remington Model 760 Game Master became popular in regions where hunters appreciated pump-action familiarity. Its design allowed fast follow-up shots and appealed to those comfortable with pump shotguns. Production volumes changed over time, and certain calibers became less common. Although it never received the same spotlight as bolt-action rifles, the Game Master built loyalty among hunters who valued its reliability. As production slowed and new rifles became less available, earlier examples began attracting more attention. Rifles that quietly served for decades often become scarce before people notice. The Model 760 used a detachable box magazine, which set it apart from many lever-action rifles commonly used in similar hunting areas. It was offered in well-known calibers such as .30-06 Springfield and .308 Winchester, making it suitable for a wide range of game. In the dense woods of the Northeast, where quick shots at moving deer were common, the pump action provided speed without changing shooting position. Over time, cosmetic variations and special editions added interest for collectors. In 1981, the Model 760 was replaced by the Model 7600, which carried forward a similar design, but marked the end of the original Game Master era. Because the original 760 is no longer produced, its numbers remain fixed. Clean rifles with original finish and matching magazines are becoming harder to locate as more owners choose to keep them. 11. Sako L61R Finnbear. The Sako L61R Finnbear was introduced in 1961 and reflected Finnish precision manufacturing. Known for smooth bolt travel and tight tolerances, the Finnbear gained respect among hunters seeking accuracy and refined finish. Before Beretta acquired Sako, the company operated independently in Finland. Pre-acquisition rifles are often viewed as representing the original era of Sako craftsmanship. Collectors pay attention to markings and small design details that identify early production. As ownership and distribution changed, the early Finnbear rifles became markers of a different time in the company's history. 12. CZ550. The CZ550 offered a traditional Mauser-style controlled round feed action combined with modern manufacturing standards. It appealed to hunters who preferred strong extractors and solid steel construction. The large claw extractor and fixed ejector followed classic controlled feed principles that many shooters trust for reliable cartridge handling. The rifle was built on a true long action or short action length depending on caliber rather than a single-size design. It also featured a set trigger system on many models, allowing shooters to choose between standard pull and a lighter set pull for precise shots. Eventually, CZ replaced the 550 with the CZ600 series, ending production of the older design. Many hunters who valued the Mauser-style action began searching for CZ550 rifles once they were discontinued. When a rifle built on traditional principles disappears, demand often increases. The CZ550 now represents one of the last widely available modern Mauser-style rifles from its production era, and clean examples are becoming harder to find each year. 13. Ruger M77 Tang Safety. The Ruger M77 was introduced in 1968 and originally featured a Tang safety positioned on the rear of the receiver. Later versions changed the safety design. For many hunters, that Tang safety became a defining feature. Early M77 rifles represent the original Ruger bolt action concept before later refinements and redesigns. When small design elements change, earlier versions often gain nostalgic value. Tang safety models are no longer being produced in the same form, and they now mark a distinct period in Ruger history. 14. Browning BLR Early Steel Receiver. Introduced in 1969, the Browning BLR allowed lever-action fans to use modern high-pressure cartridges. Early models featured steel receivers, giving them a solid and durable feel. Later versions used lighter alloy receivers to reduce weight. Many hunters prefer the early steel receiver rifles due to their traditional construction. Material changes can create clear lines between production eras. Steel receiver BLRs are no longer common on retail shelves, and clean examples continue to draw interest from collectors who favor the original build style. 15. Kimber Model 84 Oregon production. The Kimber Model 84 rifles produced in Oregon represent an early chapter of Kimber's modern manufacturing history. Before production moved, the Oregon-built rifles earned praise for their fit, finish, and lightweight controlled round feed design. When manufacturing locations shift, collectors often separate rifles by production era. Oregon production rifles now stand as limited examples from a completed chapter. Because that period ended, no new rifles from that era will ever be made again. Hunters who appreciate the early craftsmanship actively search for those original builds. Call to action. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button and subscribe so you do not miss the next list. Drop a comment and tell us which rifle on this list you would never sell. And if you own one of these disappearing classics, hold on to it. Because as we said from the start, these are the rifles you keep at all costs.